Oh, hi.
We're Storyboard Delights. He's Eric, and I'm Jaleesa.
And this is Jaleesa, and I'm Eric.
Where do we start? Do we start with the fact that we decided we didn't want to live in LA anymore, and that we wanted to have time for our kids?
Or do we start with the fact that we were both super unhappy with our careers?
Yeah, that's a good starting part, too.
We went on vacation to visit my parents in Minnesota, and I went to Buffalo Books. I picked up this book that had a great cover and gorgeous pictures of chocolate. I started looking at the pictures of chocolate, and I said, I want to learn how to do this. And so I bought it, and I read it cover to cover, and then I started making chocolate in our bathroom, like bootleg gin. I was a rate analyst for a regulated utility company, and I lived in Studio City, and I would commute to Downey every day. So I was on the train for an hour and a half one way, and then an hour and a half on the way home, and so I would bring a little lump of clay, like everybody does on the train, and I would stand there with my bike against the wall of the subway car, and then I would sculpt a little creepy head. I did this 300-400 times, and suddenly I felt like I could sculpt. So after we got into the chocolate making, I started learning about mold making. And Jaleesa...
I did. Excuse me. I went back to school for design and visual communication. And I was like, hey, Eric, guess what? I learned how to make all these different kind of molds. You should probably make some chocolate sculptures, like out of your sculptures. And he was like, that's a great idea. And I was like, nobody else is doing it in the world. Maybe this is a great idea.
I have some really good ideas. Nobody wants to buy little shrunken, disgusting, creepy heads when they're made out of clay. I had them online, I had them at garage sales, and I couldn't give them away. People would look at them and they'd say, oh, what would I do with it?
Exactly, and that's why I wanted them out of our house.
But when you make chocolate out of them, they're so cool. So I quit my job and we opened a shop.
I mean, there's a few other steps in there. But yeah, that's basically it. That's basically it.
I love Longview. Jaleesa grew up here.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody wants to help each other out. Downtown Longview thrives. If the businesses around us thrive, then our business is going to thrive. You have this sense that everybody's pulling together.
And that's where this all stemmed from, was just like, what if we made chocolate a story? I always wanted to give something back to my hometown because I learned so much through like theater, and I loved it, and I had such a good experience growing up. I loved everything that I was doing, and I always wanted to give back to my hometown something of some quality. I thought it was going to be more in like the theater aspect. I had no stinking idea I would be opening up a chocolate bookshop, but it seems weirdly perfect. I love that our daughters get to grow up here and have so much time to be outside. I love that we actually have time for them, which we didn't have in LA. Like, going forward, we saw our life kind of unfolding, and there would just be no time for us to be like a family. It's something beyond that you weren't expecting, and that's kind of how our chocolates are, though, too. Even with like sculptures, like you get a chocolate and you're like not expecting to find a face on it, or like a sculpted story, or like where Storyboard comes from. Eric first started creating these chocolate bars in the shape of a storyboard image. So it's one image that already tells a story or a moment. And that's what it feels like for our chocolates, is like every bite, every moment, even unwrapping it, it's just this moment in time that feels like hopefully you can come back and have a story to tell.
Everything right down from the moment you step into the shop to tasting the chocolate or tasting the pastry is all part of this story, so that you have something to talk about afterwards rather than just taste or eat.
I just love being back in my hometown, and I like giving something of like the best that we possibly can, and hopefully to either inspire people to go out and explore and try something new, and then also for those who have come back and are in town and want that little piece of somewhere else that they can find here.